I really would love to look over Dragon and the 1970s extensively, but today we are, in fact, focusing on 1984's Body in the Beat album, part of what's known as, I guess, the Glory Years. It's come to be known as the Glory Years, and it's a record which, starting next month, you're out on the road celebrating. Now, I can vividly recall when that album hit the stores, a release, I think what did it climb to number 5 on the charts?
Okay.
Does it feel like 30 years?
No, it doesn't. The great thing about being in a band is that the past just disappears. It's like a foreign country.
Okay.
And you're looking forward. At any stage, we have, another 30 shows. I think our next free weekend is in the middle of July. So you're always looking at and dealing with what's coming up rather than any sort of nostalgia looking back. So it's a great thing to do. It keeps you young. I recommend it to everybody.
Right. So, Todd, how will the set list work for these Body in the Beat shows? You are playing the whole album in its entirety, correct?
We'll do 2 sets. The first set will be the whole album, Body in the Beat. And we'll figure out, we'll probably play it from the last song to the first, finishing with Rain, I would say.
Okay.
And what we're doing with those songs is looking at all the old parts and actually playing them, and it's fun to do. So they sound, that set will sound a lot more like the original record than the stuff we're normally doing, yeah. And so it's easy to do all those parts now because technology's come so far, you can just sort of reverse engineer them.
Let's get back to Body in the Beat. Look, personally, I guess the album was a triumphant return to form for Dragon, but sound-wise, a departure from 1979's Power Play album, which personally I thought had a lot of new wave influences. Dragon has always been progressive musically and continued to reinvent yourself musically. I guess was that part of the plan with Body in the Beat to release an album heavy on synthesizers, the use of which I guess were popular at the time?
A lot of things that happened there that Dragon didn't have, and it was definitely looking forward. And we recorded it in a completely different way where we constructed it from the ground up rather than just going in. Like our first album, Sunshine, was recorded in about 3 days. We just had all the songs. We went and played them and walked out of the studio. It was that simple. But Body in the Beat was constructed in Sydney and then in London where we went to Psalm West, which was where Frankie Goes to Hollywood and was recording 2 Tribes at the time.
Okay.
So we went from studio hops all around London where you go into like Olympic Studios and Public Image Limited will be there, and John Lydon will be kicking the jukebox. I don't know how to do stuff.
Did you say 3 days for Sunshine?
I think it was 3 or 5, yeah. Because all the songs were written, we were playing them live and we just played them basically.
Isn't that interesting? I find that interesting that so many great albums were recorded in no time at all.
Yeah, and Mark was always an amazing singer where he would sing something once and that was it. April Sun, he just walked in and sang it. That was it. In Rain, we were finishing off the verse lyrics in another room while they were putting the finishing touches on the backtrack. He tapped the lyric sheet, walked through, sang it, threw the lyric sheet down and walked out, and that was it. He was a one-take guy. Yep.
First takes. Okay, great. Didn't know that.
His first takes were much better than the subsequent ones.
So I guess nowadays cover art for albums is not as important as it once was, but the striking cover art for Body in the Beat works so well. Just thinking, I haven't got the album in front of me, but you've got the Dancing Girl, which was the body and the band's gear on the right there. The beat, where was that image taken and whose idea was it?
I think that picture was taken in Mark's office at King's Cross, which was above Woolworths at King's Cross and the ABC Orchestra. The Dancing Girl was actually Wendy Matthews.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And, the gear just came in off the road. So I don't know who's the original. It was just an art director's idea.
Sure.
But it sort of worked for the times, didn't it?
It did. It's very striking.
And it was, better than the band sitting on the cover. It had a certain once-removed coolness thing about it, I think.
Now, I believe that Michael Crawley, the A&R guy for Polygram, had heard the band playing Rain from the corridor of Rhinoceros Studios in East Sydney, and famously stormed into the control room door shouting, "What's that song? I've got to have it." That's true, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. Yeah, we didn't have a record company at the time, so we just went into Rhino and just recorded. We said, okay, we'll just do this and figure out how to pay for it later. And he was in there and he came bursting through the door saying, "I love that song. What is it? I've got to have it." Then he said, "What band are you?" Because he's just coming from England, he didn't know who we were. Luckily, because of our terrible reputation at the time. And so we signed it, away we went.
Todd, when yourself and your partner, Joanna Piggott, and Mark wrote Rain, was there any inkling of how well it would do?
No, the rain started off on a really rainy day in Bondi, and Joanna was out, and I just did the tracks and most of the lyrics, most of the chorus lyrics and everything. By that stage, the chorus was, it's raining, it's snoring, the old man's snoring. And Joanna came back in from the city and said, no, how about don't you go out in the rain, don't go out in the pouring rain. And then Mark, while we were in the recording studio, and worked out verse lyrics that he could sing and were meaningful to him. And so it was just a collaboration, but no idea it was going to work like it did. I didn't.
Well, that's a nice tie-in. Let's hear Dragon now with the amazing track Rain, which climbed all the way to number 2 on the Australian charts back in 1983.